What is going on, everyone? Mets Talk with Hayden here. Hopefully, everyone is doing extremely well. I am most certainly doing well today. Let's just make sure the audio sounds crystal clear on my end. What is going on, everyone? All right, sounds pretty good on my end. Yeah, I do apologize. I know I'm a couple minutes late on the stream and different little setup. Obviously, this is my room, sitting on my bed. Yeah, my desktop was giving me some issues the last couple days. Last stream, it was giving me a lot of issues. So I just figured to avoid all that today, let's make it a smooth stream and let's just go classic on the laptop. This is usually what I do my streams on when I'm at school. So nothing new, just I guess kind of instead of me being over there, I'm over here. So yeah, like I said, usually over there, but on the bed. So yeah, but sorry about that little rant there. I just wasted about a minute. But yeah, hopefully everyone is doing extremely well. I am most certainly doing well today. Mets were able to take the series win against the Chicago White Sox. Super happy about that. That was definitely needed. A dire series for the New York Mets. So super, I guess, essentially excited about that. But in today's stream, we are going to be going over the Chicago White Sox and New York Mets series summary. So pretty much summarizing the good, the bad, and the ugly. And, decent series, I would argue. Then, of course, we are going to preview the New York Mets and the Boston Red Sox series preview. So, obviously, the Battle of the Sox is this week. So we're going to be previewing that, what we could expect, pitching matchups, offense, and what both of these teams offer and their strengths and weaknesses. Both teams are in an interesting spot in their division, of course. Then we are going to go over, just comments, questions, go over some of the Mets farm system. I would like to discuss that, and a couple other great things that I guess we enjoy talking about on the channel as per usual. So, if this is your first stream or you're watching this on replay, thank you for clicking. But yeah, hopefully everyone's doing well. Like I said, give this video a like, comment, subscribe, post notifications, all of that great stuff. If you guys could do all that, I would appreciate that very, very much. But yeah, let's stop wasting any more time and let's dive into some of your comments, questions. Hold off on some of your comments if you please. That way I could get to all of them because I don't know. Sometimes it's hard, like when people comment. I don't know. My StreamYard's very weird. Like when people comment stuff and like it'll shuffle it out of order sometimes. I don't know. StreamYard can be a pain in the ass sometimes. But yeah, let's go over the New York Mets and the White Sox series summary. So it stated the Mets were fortunate enough to take 2 out of 3 from the White Sox. It wasn't an extremely clean series, but at the end of the day, they won. So getting into game 1, which was Tuesday's game of this 3-game set, the Mets won this game by a score of 11-10. That is right, 11-10. And this was a game where the Mets won. They won. That's all that matters. Carlos Carrasco on the bump. Big surprise. Carrasco not able to make it out of the 5th inning. Surprise there. He only goes 4 2/3, giving up 6 hits, 4 runs, 2 walks, 5 strikeouts. Carrasco looked decent. He started off, he had a lot of run support and kind of hoping that he could build off of that run support, just mentally having that assurance. But yeah, I guess at the end of the day, he slider was nice, fastball was nice. I mean, he mixed up his 2 pitches very well. He located decently. I mean, like we said, those 5 strikeouts. So he wasn't throwing all over the place. His command was good. Control was fine. Kept the ball on the ground for the most part. We saw those 6 hits. You don't like to see that. I mean, a typical start from Carrasco, really nothing out of the ordinary. He's a guy that isn't going to give you a lot of innings. We know that his last outing before the All-Star break was big. So, there's only so many times when, Carrasco can give you a quality start. And unfortunately, that's not always going to be the case. So, yeah, Carrasco looked decent. Grant Hartwig came in for an inning and 2/3. Decent. A hit, 2 runs, a walk, 3 strikeouts. Arguably should have just been used for 1 inning, but when your starters don't go 5-6 innings, it's hard on your bullpen. Trevor Gott came in and tried to fuck this game up to the best of his ability. He did not got anything, that's for sure. But yeah, Gott didn't get a single out, gave up 3 hits, 2 runs. Yeah, not pretty. Brooks Raley had to come in. You have a 7-run lead, and Buck Showalter is not trying to use his 3 high leverage arms. And those 3 high leverage arms consist of Brooks Raley, I dare to say Adam Ottavino, and your closer, David Robertson. A 7-run lead, you should not even think about using those guys. But of course, this middle relief sucks. Drew Smith, Trevor Gott, Dominic Leone. Those are not quality arms. Those are nobody pitchers. And I hate to come on here and say that, but I've seen it all season. Billy Epler failed, and, it's not even worth getting into at this rate. But Raley had to come in and clean up his mess. Faced 2 batters, got him out, needed. Adam Ottavino came in an inning, only giving up a hit, so good outing from him. And then in the 9th inning to close things out for the save, David Robertson came in for an inning, giving up a hit, a run, and 2 walks. A little bit of a streaky outing, but he was able to get the outs that mattered. So, a very much needed. You're pitching 10 runs. They should have not won that game. But like I said, when you have an offense that could help you battle back, well, that's the good thing you have right there. So, not an ideal game for the Mets. But at the end of the day, they won. Your offense battled, getting into the offense. 11 runs, 10 hits. You had a mammoth first inning, scoring 5 runs in the first inning. That's the first time this Mets team has done that in a century. Obviously, getting things started in the first inning, Tommy Pham had an RBI double to left to bring in Brandon Nimmo. So you like to see that combination right there. Following that at bat, Pete Alonso had a sac fly to left to bring in Tommy Pham. A couple at bats later, Francisco Alvarez has a 2-run homer to left center, 394 feet to bring in Francisco Lindor and himself. And then directly after that at bat, going back to back, the rookie baby Mets, Brett Beatty, has a solo home run to center, 425 feet. So cap off a 5-run first inning. In the second inning, Francisco Lindor had an RBI double to right to bring in Nimmo. In the 4th inning, DJ Stewart had his first home run as a New York Met, homer to right center. Following that at bat, Jeff McNeil had an RBI single to left to bring in Tommy Pham. 6th inning, Jeff McNeil had an RBI single once again to bring in Tommy Pham. And then to cap things off, for the run that mattered, Francisco Alvarez had a 2-run homer to center, 421 feet for his 19th of the season to bring in himself and Jeff McNeil. And like I said, Mets won this game 11-10, 11 runs, 10 hits. Grant Hartwig with the 2nd win of his season and career, and David Robertson with the 13th save of the season. Mets tried very hard to blow this game. Trevor Gott tried to the best of his ability to lose this game for the Mets. But, that's just how it goes sometimes. And, like I said, the Mets, get these huge leads. They'll get a 6-7 run lead. And, your middle relief is going to blow that. When it's 6-run lead, you shouldn't even be thinking about using Brooks Raley in the game. You shouldn't even be thinking about using David Robertson to close it out in the 9th. You shouldn't even be thinking about using Adam Ottavino. But the time's going to come when you have to, because do you trust Trevor Gott to not give up 3 runs? Do you trust Drew Smith not to give up 2 home runs and load the bases and have someone to come in and bail him out? Your middle relief's plenty important, and that's what this team lacks, is their middle relief. The guys that come in for the 6th, 7th, listen, if your starter goes 8 innings, great. Then you only have to use 1 reliever for the 9th. Like I said, that's why I emphasize it is vital for this pitching staff, for these starters, to give you 6-7 innings of a quality game. Because we saw in the beginning of the season and in May and June, when you have starters that go out there and only go 3 innings, well, then you're going to see Dominic Leone. You're going to see Drew Smith. You're going to see all these bums that no one wants to see. But if your starter's going 7-8 innings, well, you're going to see the quality guys. You're not going to have to see the Leones and Nogoseks and all those people of the world. And I know Nogosek's no longer a Met, but just point I'm trying to make. So, it's frustrating. It really is. But they won this game. I think if the Mets lost that game, I think I would have jumped out of a window and threw my laptop out of a window. That was a very suspenseful 9th inning where, Robertson blew that game, I think everyone would have walked out of that ballpark. So, yeah, I mean, like I said, it happens. But at the end of the day, they got the W. Now, getting on to game 2 of this 3-game set. Wednesday's game, the Mets win this game by a score of 5-1. And Justin Verlander, tip of the cap to JV, he had a phenomenal outing. I mean, talk about an outing that he really, really, really needed. This was it. I would say besides the Cleveland start, this was his best start as a New York Met. Best start as a New York Met. 8 innings, 3 hits, a run, a walk, 7 strikeouts, 100 pitches. 76 of those pitches were in the strike zone. He mixed up his pitches phenomenally. Fastball was on point. Slider was on point. The whiffs, swinging and misses, the chasing. This White Sox lineup was chasing out of the strike zone. I mean, his stuff was in control. He wasn't walking guys. We know that JV, has the issue of his last outing. He walked 6 batters. 1 walk. He looked great. Could have went the full game, but a specific player who shall not be named dropped a routine foul ball that kind of made him have to face 2 more batters and throw about 15 more pitches after that. But his pitch count was great. His pitch count was great. I mean, I think it was what, like the 5th inning when he only had like 30 pitches. So I mean, tip of the cap to JV. It's outings like this that he needs. And listen, I'm not saying that Justin Verlander is going to come out and every single appearance give you 8 innings of 1-run ball game. No. Quality starts. That's what I'm asking for this dude. So some vintage Justin Verlander. He looked good. And then, like I emphasized, when your bullpen or when your starters go far into games, well, you don't have to burden your bullpen. And Adam Ottavino only came in for an inning and 9 pitches, 5 strikes. Adam Ottavino looked great. 3 ground ball outs. In terms of this pitching, obviously you only use Verlander and then Ottavino out of the bullpen. But yeah, a lot of ground ball outs. I mean, a lot of ground balls hit to Beatty and Lindor, and they did the job. So I mean, that's simply enough what you like to see from your starters, and that's what you need to see from your starters. So yeah, I mean, we're really just gonna have to wait and kind of just see how the rest of that's gonna go. But good pitching. In terms of the offense scored 5 runs, 5 hits. Power was big. Power is huge, and they hit for some good power. Obviously, getting started in the 3rd inning, Brett Beatty had a solo home run to center. So Beatty, back-to-back nights, hitting a home run to center field. So you really, really like to see that. Beatty's a guy who's going to need to get hot, carry this offense. So good to see Beatty get the Mets started. And then in the 4th inning, Francisco Alvarez had an RBI single to right to bring in Pete Alonso. A couple at bats later, Brett Beatty, fundamental baseball, RBI fielder's choice to bring in McNeil. 4th inning, Luis Guillorme had a sac fly to bring in Alvarez. And then also in the 4th inning for the last run of the game, Brandon Nimmo had an RBI double to left to bring in Beatty. And otherwise, got a couple hits following that, but that was really all the offense they needed. They did the job. Mets win 5-1. Verlander gets the W. Not a safe situation, of course. Then game 3 in the final game of this 3-game set. Mets going for the sweep, but just couldn't get it done. A lot of guys fell asleep. Mets lose this game 6-2. Should have not really been 6-2, but we'll talk about why. Jose Quintana, his first start as a New York Met. We know that he was injured earlier this season. Right before the season started, he was injured, and he did a couple of rehab assignments, and this was his first start as a New York Met, and of course at Citi Field. And Jose Quintana, he wasn't bad, but he wasn't great. 5 innings, 6 hits, 2 runs, 3 strikeouts, 77 pitches. Could have went the 6th inning, but his first start back, the pitch count, I think, was something that Buck Showalter was keeping an eye on. But he looked good. Occupied his changeup nicely, occupied his fastball, good command later in the game. First inning kind of struggled a little bit with location and just kind of leaving a couple balls over the plate for some base hits. Yeah, but otherwise, besides those first 2 innings, he really had it the third, fourth, and fifth inning. He looked good. A lot of ground ball outs. Like I said, Quintana's not a guy that's going to get a lot of strikeouts. He's a contact pitcher. So, just Quintana's job is going to be to throw strikes and let the defense do the job there. And I mean, that's what we saw. So, we saw a lot of ground ball outs and light fly balls. So that was going to be needed. Didn't walk a guy, so you like to see that. And then coming in the sixth inning, well, it's a 2-run game, but Drew Smith comes in. Drew Smith in high leverage situations, we know how he is. And he's horrible in high leverage situations. It's a 1-run ball game. Buck Showalter goes to Drew Smith because, like I said, when your starters only go 5 innings, you have 4 innings to cover. And Drew Smith came in and completely blew it up. 2/3 of an inning, 3 hits, a run, a walk, strikeout. I will kind of go off on Alonso. He made that error, kind of a routine play, made an error. Would have easily made it 1 out, but didn't work like that. And then just under pressure, Drew Smith is just not that guy. That's simple. High leverage situations, regardless of high leverage situations, he's just not that guy in general. He is an adequate arm to this bullpen. We saw in the beginning of the season, he looked great. Say what you want about the supermodel, whatever jokes, the memes, but yeah, Drew Smith is just not a good guy. I know he's a good guy, but he's not a good ball player. I'll rephrase that. When it comes down to Drew Smith, I mean, fastball and slider, okay. But I mean, he's throwing meatballs right over the strike zone. Catches way too much plate. Slider isn't great. And fastball is thrown way high in the zone where, they're getting a barrel on it. So, yeah, Drew Smith has just not been it. David Peterson came in for an inning and a third of relief. Looked good. Only a walk, 2 strikeouts. So we'll see maybe, Peterson can get that walk. Peterson has good stuff. And I'll say this, Peterson made me look like a fool this whole season. And I'll admit it. But, we'll see what he could do out of the bullpen. Maybe it could be a nice lefty arm out of the bullpen. Just limit the walks. That's the last thing you could have as a reliever. Less room for error, of course. Dominic Leone came in for an inning, 2 strikeouts, and then Trevor Gott came in for an inning, striking out 1. So when the game's pretty much out of reach, Leone and Gott throw great. In terms of the offense, the offense is partially to blame. They kind of fell asleep. Made Michael Kopech look like a Cy Young Award winner. Offense fell asleep. He only had 2 runs, 4 hits. Just didn't really get any guys on base. I mean, in the 5th inning, you only had one hit until Narvaez really got into the action. But heading on into the 5th inning, Omar Narvaez started the scoring for the Mets, and he had a solo home run to right center for his first home run of the season. So good to see Omar Narvaez with some power there. And then in the 8th inning, Pete Alonso had an RBI single to bring in Brandon Nimmo. And yeah, I mean, like I said, 2 runs, it's kind of hard to win a ball game with only scoring 2 runs. Numerous times where they had guys on, runners on first and second, 1 out, but they get double play or, and I think my only complaint with the offense was you look at Michael Kopech, a guy who cannot throw a strike for his life. He's a guy that has complexity with his command, complexity with his control, and just the walks have been an issue for Kopech this whole season. Why are they swinging first pitch? I get McNeil, he always swings first pitch, but why is guys like Lindor, Alonso, they're swinging first pitch? Make him walk. This is a Mets team that statistically hasn't struck out a lot this season. They could walk all they want, but when the time comes for them to draw walks, do it. Drive up his pitch count. Put the pressure on the pitcher. But they're swinging first pitch, and Alonso's hitting, these blooper, pop-ups to the infield. Or, they're hitting these little dribblers to the pitcher, Work the count. Stop swinging first pitch. So, only complaint with that, really. But yeah, otherwise, unfortunately, Quintana does get the loss. Should have been Drew Smith, but, it's how it works. But yeah, Mets win the series 2-1, so I'll take that. Satisfied with that. All I asked for was a series win. Sweep would have been great, but hey, at this rate, just win series. I'm not asking for sweeps. Any good ball team just win series. Sweep, that's the cherry on top, as I say. But yeah, Otherwise, pretty adequate, solid series for the Metropolitans. Now the Mets are going to play the other Sox in the Boston Red Sox, as they will be going to Boston to play a 3-game series against the Red Sox. So that's going to be a very exciting series to watch. I know the 7 line is there. I saw Talking Mets with Rob in the chat. I know you are in Boston, so if you're listening, hopefully you have fun, along with all the other 7 line members and crew. So that'll be pretty cool. But yeah, in regards to that, the Mets are coming in 45-51 with a record of 22-29 on the road. So yeah, it's going to be interesting. So it's going to be interesting to see what the Mets can do against the Red Sox. Boston coming in 51-46, 26-22 at home. Red Sox 4th in their division, kind of in a tough spot. I'll tell you, I did not expect the Red Sox to be in the position they are in July. If you were to tell me during spring training that the Red Sox would be 7 games over 500, I would laugh. But hey, they're decent. In terms of the game tonight, 3-game series, game 1 starts tonight, 7:10. Kodai Senga will be on the bump for the Mets. Senga has really been wheeling and dealing. This last month and a half, he has been Cy Young caliber. I mean, this whole season he's mainly been pretty good. He's had a couple shaky starts, but otherwise he's been looking great. Kodai Senga so far in the season, 7-5 win-loss record, 3.20 ERA, 1.26 WHIP, 95 2/3 innings pitched. So he'll probably get over 100 this year, or 100 this inning. 122 strikeouts. So you like to see he's a big strikeout guy. The walks have been really good lately. He hasn't been walking many guys. The control is fine. Biggest thing with Senga is go out there, have your ghost forkball in command of the strike zone, and then mix it up with the fastball, and that could really confuse a lot of hitters. So, yeah, we'll see how that goes. I think that could be pretty interesting for Senga. So we'll see how that goes. Otherwise, ideally 6-7 innings, I think would be ideal. A run or 2 max. Going to be interesting to see how this Boston Red Sox team can go against Senga. It's the first time anyone really anyone in the MLB is facing him. I'm not sure if Yoshida has ever faced him before. That could be an interesting question in Japan. I believe he's Japanese, but that could also be something to look at too. But yeah, Senga on the bump for tonight. So hopefully he could have a good start. Definitely becoming a fan favorite for me, no doubt. And then for the Red Sox, they will have Cutter Crawford, who I've actually seen pitch twice in person this season. So that'll be interesting to see how he could do. He's been a solid starter for the Red Sox this year. So see what he could do against them. Walks kind of an issue. Home runs kind of an issue. But yeah, we'll see how he does in the game tonight. For game 2, tomorrow's game, Saturday, 4:10 start. Max Scherzer will be on the bump for the Mets, and Scherzer's hopefully going to come in and have back-to-back good starts. His most recent start against having a brain fart. I don't know. Whoever he started against last really dialed in, or the Dodgers really, really dialed in. Looked great. So we'll see if he can continue to bounce off of that success. Scherzer so far in the season is 8-3, ERA 3.99, WHIP of 1.18, and 94 2/3 innings pitched. So we'll see. Hopefully, we can get over that 100 mark, and we'd like to see that during the All-Star, post All-Star break into the second half. 107 strikeouts. So the strikeouts have kind of been there to an extent. Only things with Scherzer is mix up his pitch as well, have command of the slider. Keep the ball in the ballpark. Scherzer has been having a very hard time this season with the home run and the long ball. Keep the ball on the ground. Just keep the ball in the ballpark. If you give up a hit, give up a hit. But the home runs the home runs and the walks are the 2 biggest no-nos for Scherzer. He'll get 2 outs and then walk a guy and then home run. Execute, get the 3rd out. Keep the ball in the ballpark. Do not walk anyone. Those are the biggest keys for success for Max Scherzer. Yeah, simple as that. And then obviously for the Red Sox, they will have James Paxton, the southpaw lefty, and he's actually been doing pretty good. I know he was hurt for a little bit. He bounced around. He was in Seattle, former Yankee, went to Seattle, went to the Red. Now he's with the Red Sox. So I don't know. He's kind of been an interesting guy that I've kind of liked during his career. Obviously minus the Yankee, but yeah, I think he's actually a decent arm. Surprisingly, kind of came out of nowhere this year and has actually been pretty average. I mean, he hasn't been like lights out electric, but 59 innings pitched this year, 3.51 ERA, a whip just of 1 sub. So those are not incredibly horrible stats for him. I will say I was expecting him to have stats much more all over the place. So yeah, we'll see what the Mets can do against him. But yeah. That'll be tomorrow's start, game 2, and getting into game 3 and the final game of this 3-game series against the Red Sox. Sunday, which will be an ESPN start, so 7:10 or 7 o'clock start. The Mets will have Carlos Carrasco on the bump. Yay! So we'll see Carrasco probably make the Mets look like a fool on Sunday Night Baseball. But we'll see. We're going to have to see what Carrasco has. Like I said, Carrasco has only pitched 65 and 2/3 innings this season. 3-3, 5.35 ERA, 1.45 WHIP. Just don't suck. I mean, I like to sound professional when it comes to these previews, but just simply enough. Give me an ideal 5-6 innings, 2 runs. He needs to stay in the ballgame. That's simple. I mean, yeah. The walks have been a concern. His strikeout rate went from average to below average, and the home runs have spiked drastically from him. So just, I guess essentially just keep the Mets in this ball game. That's all you could say with Carrasco. And then for the Red Sox, their starter is to be determined, undecided. So he could be pretty good, but being realistic, maybe a bullpen game. We'll see how the Red Sox do this. But yeah, I mean, couple injuries to keep an eye out on. Red Sox, Trevor Story's been injured. He's on the 60-day IL. Chris Sale, Garrett Whitlock. So those are kind of 3 big guys for that team. I know Chris Sale hasn't pitched in a while, and Story's kind of been really a bust since he went to Boston, but we'll see. And then Garrett Whitlock, a good arm. He's only on the 15-day IL, so he shouldn't be out too super long. But in terms of the Mets injuries, we do have 2 to keep an eye out on, and that is with Starling Marte and Tommy Pham. The Mets did play Starling Marte on the 10-day IL yesterday with migraines. We know Marte, this whole season, looked really off. I think it was from that surgery that he had this offseason. But, he came out and he said that he doesn't feel 100% because of it. Yeah, no shit. I mean, you could tell. When he's not running for a routine fly ball and he drops it, something's up. But, he's on the IL for migraines. So, I don't know. Maybe there's a mixture of things going on. But, yeah, he was put on the 10-day IL for migraines. So, I think that was a much-needed move. As well as Tommy Pham, who left yesterday's game after suffering a right groin injury while he hit into a double play. We know before the All-Star break, he was placed on the IL with a groin injury. So, I don't think this was anything super, super crazy. I'm thinking maybe this was more of a precautionary type issue, but he will be on the IL for the next. He's day to day. Excuse me. He is day to day. He is not on the IL, which I don't know. Maybe that's the IL, but he's not on the 10-day, so that is good. So we'll see how that goes. But yeah, Marte been very disappointing this year, so we'll see. He'll go on the 10-day IL, give him a break physically and mentally, and we saw some signs of him potentially breaking out into his old self, but just hasn't really had it. So about time the Mets put Marte on the IL, and then Tommy Pham. It sucks. He's been big for this offense lately, but if he's not healthy, he can't play. So that's just simply how it is for the Mets. So see how that goes down the line. But yeah, those are a couple key injuries to kind of report on. In response to the Starling Marte injury, the Mets have called up Mark Vientos from AAA Syracuse, but shock of the century, Buck Showalter is not starting him tonight. No way. Yeah, that is right. The lineup is tonight, so I will go over that with you guys for tonight's lineup. I should have done it when I previewed tonight's game, but it is what it is. So looking at tonight's lineup for the New York Mets game tonight against the Red Sox, you will have Brandon Nimmo playing center field, leading off. Batting second, the shortstop, Francisco Lindor. Batting third, the right fielder, Jeff McNeil. Batting fourth, cleanup, Pete Alonso. Batting fifth, the DH, Daniel Vogelbach. Batting sixth, the catcher, Francisco Alvarez. Batting seventh, the third baseman, Brett Beatty. Batting eighth, the left fielder, Mark Canha. And batting ninth, the second baseman, Luis Guillorme. So, yeah, Alvarez behind the plate, Alonso at first, Guillorme at second, Lindor at short, Brett Beatty at third. Moving over to the outfield, Mark Canha in left, Nimmo in center, McNeil in right. And, of course, fan favorite Daniel Vogelbach is DHing with Kodai Senga on the mound. Once again, comes into the question is, what's the point of calling up Vientos? What is the point? There, if you're going to start Vogelbach over him, what's the reason? I don't think Vogelbach's been like, Vogelbach's been pretty bad this year. There's really no way to sugarcoat it. I think he's doing somewhat better compared to earlier this season when he was going like 0 for 30. Now he's kind of going like 5 for 30 or 3 for 30. So, that's still bad, but still a guy that doesn't offer power, can't hit lefties, doesn't play a position, doesn't offer anything on the bases. He's not a threat. He also swings the bat now. Instead of swinging the bat once in a bat, he'll swing it, once a game. He'll swing it twice a game. So I guess there's some improvement on that. But otherwise, there's really not much to take from that. So, otherwise, it's been very frustrating with Vogelbach. But it's what it is. But, now let's get into some of your guys' comments, questions, concerns, and all of that stuff related to the New York Mets. Give me 1 second. Of course, this doesn't want to work. Okay, what is going on, everyone? Mark's here. Peter, Devin, how's it going? Lane, how's it going? Hopefully, man. Eric, Michael, Captain Morgan, Cedric, Michael as well. Baseball Media, Alyssa, how's it going? Appreciate everyone for tuning in. Talking Mets with Rob, good to hear from you. Yeah, I assume you were in Boston. Hopefully you'll have fun with the 7 line. I'll definitely see if you guys are on TV. That'll be pretty neat. Kobe, Cal, how's everyone doing? Earl, how's it going? Appreciate you tuning in, man. That's pretty cool. Captain Morgan says, how does Ronnie Mauricio's development at a position other than shortstop impact the Mets farm system? I don't really think it has an effect. Obviously, when the Mets drafted Ronnie Mauricio, I don't think they expected him to be, obviously when the Mets drafted Mauricio as a shortstop, you had Francisco Lindor in the back of their mindset, but I also, he was 180 pounds, 6 feet. Now he's like 6'4", 240 pounds. I don't think many people expected Mauricio to gain that much weight and muscle and kind of no longer have the body of an infielder. He doesn't have the body for second. I don't think he has it for third. Third base is occupied. Second base is occupied. First base is occupied. I say with Mauricio, it's outfield. Put him in the outfield or DH him. And I wouldn't want to solely DH him because I feel he has a lot more value. I think he could play a position. He's not a bad defender. Anywhere you really put him. Has good speed, has a good arm, has a good glove. I don't really think it has an effect on the Mets farm system. Obviously, I think the Mets are done drafting shortstops and catchers. I think that's something that the Mets are done with. as they should be. I mean, you have your long-term catcher, you have your long-term shortstop, you have your long-term shortstop, you have Lindor, you have Alvarez, and then you have Parada continuing to develop in the minor leagues. And what they'll do with Parada, yeah, I think that's a topic for another day. Probably DH him. We'll see how that goes with him, but that's kind of a topic for another day, I would argue. Do the Mets call up Jet Williams and Kevin Parada in 2024? Nah, they're too young, man. They're only in low A. They're 18, 19 years old. Alex says, why are the Mets in the position they are now? It's their pitching. That simple. Yeah, it's their pitching. That simple. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. Cal says, do you think the Mets are in need for another bat? I mean, yeah. It's kind of hard right now because this is a team offensively that's expected to do well. But it's hard right now when you have Pete Alonso under, who's in a massive slump. Jeff McNeil this whole season has been underperforming terribly. And that's the thing. This Mets offense has been big on relying on Lindor and Alonso. And when they don't produce, well, you're not going to win a ball game. I get it. You added a little bit more power to this lineup. Obviously, I think like a year ago today, this team lacked power. You really only had Alonso and maybe Lindor, but now you also had Francisco Alvarez, a guy who, 19 home runs now. I could see him finishing the season with 30, maybe 35. And that's not even playing for 1 month in April because he was in the minor leagues. So, I think that'll be really interesting to see the power issue get solved. Home runs, you need power. Power is very important for a baseball team. Very important to win games. So, yeah, we're just going to really have to see how it goes. But, yeah. August 1st is the trade deadline. That is true. Kendall says Mets getting back to their rhythm. Yeah, we'll see. I'm not getting crazy optimistic, of course. Tell you all about the Mets so far this year. Have a 6-game win streak, a 5-game win streak, and then they'll go on a 4-game losing streak. You just listen. I'm not asking them to go on all these crazy win streaks, but you can't be going on these losing streaks. As simple as that. You can win 2 games and then lose every game after that. That's fine. I'll accept that because that puts you with a good record. So, yeah, we'll see how that goes. Yeah. Alex Ramirez is doing so good. If you think he keeps it up, Alex Ramirez is doing so good. So if you think he keeps it up, do you think about the Mets calling him up in August? What A ball is he in? Nah, dude, he's in high A. He's in high A. Way too young. Nathan, what's going on? Nathan says, what's the news in Edwin Diaz? I don't really think there's much. They discussed he's throwing. Definitely much more, improved that many people expected. Tore his ACL and UCL, pardon me, whatever. And he's already throwing. He looks good. Like I said, I don't really know what the Mets plan for him is. If the Mets are in a position where they can make a run in late September, is it worth calling him up? We'll see. Alyssa, what's going on? Alyssa says, Beatty. Do you think the Mets are in need for another bat? The Mets sign Correa? They're not signing Correa, I could tell you that. JD Martinez. Yeah, Martinez is a guy that I kind of wanted the Mets to go after, but unfortunately, that kind of fell into its own issues. Obviously the Mets didn't, kind of concerned with his medicals, with his back, but Martinez has been one of the more dominant DHs in the league so far this year. 20 home runs. I think this Mets lineup would take that over Vogelbach any day. But unfortunately, it hasn't been the case. Thoughts on Jet Williams? Yeah, Kobe. Jet Williams has been doing great this year. Like I said, I know he's young. I know he's only in Florida ball in low A, but looks promising. I wouldn't be surprised if he gets sent up to high A very soon. Yeah, he's really been killing it so far. Great on base percentage. The walks, I mean, he's walking incredibly. He's stealing 31 stolen bases. You'd like to see that. Captain Morgan says, how many home runs will Francisco Alvarez launch over the Green Monster? It's a good question. I'm gonna say 2. I think I'll have 2 home runs this weekend. I think that'll be a good amount. Kobe, what's going on? He says 7 line here. Let's go. Nice, man. Do you DFA Vogelbach? Lane, yeah, I mean, I think if you're going to get rid of him, I'd rather you trade and get something out of him. I mean, obviously, I don't think he'll be the big eye in a trade, but, he'll kind of be that extra chunk change, I guess you could say. Yeah, Vogelbach has essentially no value, unless you're just a team that's trying to fill up roster room. Yeah, but yeah, I was kind of bummed the Mets decided to stick with him internally this season. But yeah, I mean, I don't really think they're going to DH him because, especially right now, I mean, you look at it, Marte's out. Is he going to be out for 10 days? Probably. Tommy Pham, like I said, I don't know what the Mets are going to do with Tommy Pham, but the groin injury, is that a concern? So you don't want to be getting rid of players, even regardless of how bad they are, because we've seen injuries. LFGM. Senga Cy Young or Rookie of the Year, says Gio. It's possible. I don't think necessarily. I think Cy Young is probably out of it. I think there's. I mean, I think guys like Zach. I think it's probably going to go to Zach Gallen. I think he's been one of the best pitchers in baseball, and a guy I projected to. I mean, years ago. I mean, everyone was big on him, and I mean, now he's finally coming out of the woods. But yeah, I think it's probably going to go Zach Gallen. NL Rookie of the Year, I mean, I could see it going to Corbin Carroll, but I think the other 2 guys are probably going to be Francisco Alvarez and Kodai Senga. You have a couple other rookies out there in the NL, sure. But, I mean, my top 3 NL Rookie of the Years, if the season were to end right now, it's probably Corbin Carroll, Francisco Alvarez, and Kodai Senga. In the AL, they have a good mix, too. But, yeah, I definitely think there's been some good rookies in baseball this year. No doubt. I mean, I would say in terms of rookies, this year has been one of the most exciting for rookies. Pre-arbitration guys in general. Can Kodai Senga pitch good tonight? Yeah. I mean, if he has the stuff in control, yeah. Why doesn't Buck Showalter ever start Mark V? Cal says, why doesn't Buck Showalter ever start Mark Vientos? Cal, it's the $1 million question. I really don't know. And I kind of hate to come on here and say that. I don't know what Buck Showalter's issue is with Mark Vientos. I don't know if it's a mechanical thing, if it's a respect the veteran. He's a rookie guy. Buck Showalter may not know his role yet, and we know that Buck said that earlier this season that, Vientos isn't quite this everyday guy yet. They're still trying to figure out what type of role they want to put him in. But then what's the point? Send him back down to AAA. Let him develop. Stop. This is a guy who's still developing. He needs the at-bats. He needs the reps. Why waste them by sitting him on the bench, starting him once a week, and then having him come pitch hit in the 8th inning, for a second time in the week? Well, there's no point. Then send him back down. Why waste his time? Why waste his value? So, yeah, I don't know. That's kind of been something I was very upset about with Buck Showalter this year. Is I don't know what his thing. I mean, we saw wanted to start Escobar over Beatty every day. Why? I mean, it took, a blessing in disguise of an injury for Francisco Alvarez to get his time. Imagine Omar Narvaez never got hurt. Imagine. I mean, it's a blessing in disguise right there. Because, I mean, would Francisco Alvarez have ever been called up? Maybe. But it would have not been until probably now or August. So, yeah, I mean, show you. Look at Francisco Alvarez. Francisco Alvarez has been killing it. He has been one of the best players for the Mets. The rookies are essentially carrying this team right now. Francisco Alvarez has been playing great. I don't want to consider Kodai Senga a rookie, but I guess he is. He's been playing great. Beatty's been showing some light lately, so that's good. But, we'll have to see how it goes. Like I said, see how it goes. Logan says, what's wrong with the New York Yankees? Yeah, Yankees have been bad. They went what, like 1-5 on their road trip. I actually watched some of their the Rocky series and Angel series. Yeah, they've been in a tough position, and I don't really know what the whole, what's going to happen with the Yankees. Obviously, they're in, their record is what? Yankees are 50-47, so they're 3 games over. But you look at that division, and how many games back are they from first place? They're in 5th place. They're in last in the AL East. That division's tough. And 500 ball is not going to cut in that division. I mean, they're not expected to make the playoffs right now. Season ends today. They're not making it. And they have to get ahead of Boston. They have to get ahead of Toronto, ahead of Tampa. I mean, even finishing second in that division. I'm probably just going to be the first 2 teams in that division are probably going to make the playoffs, in my opinion. But we'll have to see how that goes. So, yeah, it's going to be an interesting next couple weeks for the Yankees. Judge has been hurt for pretty much all the season. Rodon just came back, and he's been absolutely horrible. But, you look at that lineup. I mean, tell me, how much trust do you have in that lineup? Rizzo hasn't hit a home run in like 3 months, and he's been pretty bad. Giancarlo Stanton, I mean, we all know about Stanton. But, guys like Oswald Peraza, Harrison Bader, Isaiah Kiner-Falefa, Oswaldo Cabrera, those are not everyday players. 5 years from now, yeah, maybe Anthony Volpe and Oswaldo Cabrera, they could be elite players. But you can't book all your bank on a rookie shortstop and a rookie outfielder and a defensive outfielder. I mean, Gleyber Torres, okay, he's been fair this year. DJ LeMahieu's been pretty bad this year. He's kind of been struggling. Yeah. I mean, offensively, this team the Yankees haven't looked good. And pitching wise, I mean, Garrett Cole's been having his best year. I think Garrett Cole's probably going to win Cy Young. And that sucks because it's going to be in a year where the Yankees are likely going to miss the playoffs. For once, the Yankees have an elite Garrett Cole who probably could dominate in the playoffs. And they're probably not going to get that. So, listen, I know I'm a Mets fan, shouldn't be rooting for the Yankees, but, like I said, they're in a tough spot. I mean, Cole's been great, but the rest of that rotation, Rodon just came back from injury. He hasn't been good. Luis Severino's been bad. Domingo Germán's horrible. Frankie Montas is on the IL. Clark Schmidt, he has good stuff. He could be promising, but you can't bank in a rookie pitcher in the rotation. Nestor Cortez has been shaky. He's been on and off the IL. It's been rough year for the Yankees. They're very unhappy. Captain Morgan says, when will the last baby Met join? We'll see. I mean, Mauricio has been trending lately. Yeah, Blake Tidwell's been going off. I know we discussed that last stream, and I think, Nathan, you also said that last stream too, but he has been going off. Yeah. He has been going off. I think he could be, like I said, I obviously don't think he'll be a September call-up. Maybe he'll be the type of guy, Blake Tidwell, coming into next year's spring training. He can make the conversation of going into the rotation. Because you look at next year's rotation, you have what? Kodai Senga, and then you have Scherzer and Verlander another year old. Carrasco's going to be gone. I don't know what McGill and Peterson hold. I think Quintana is a 1 year. I think Quintana is a 2-year deal with a player or with an option. So I don't know what Quintana is going to hold. But yeah, Mets need to continue to developing pitching. That's very important. You have Blake Tidwell. You have Mike Vassell. I think Blake Tidwell has good stuff. Obviously, he has been going off lately, and I agree. Like I said, it's high A, so see how he adjusts going from AA to AAA. So he'll definitely have plenty of time to develop new pitches, acclimate. But yeah, been solid lately. Strike zone's been pretty good, so we'll see how that goes. Much needed move. Michael says Francisco Alvarez is becoming a star in front of our eyes. The future is looking bright on the offensive side for the Mets for years to come. Yeah, I agree with you. Certainly is. I concur. It's a great question, Lane. Something we have to ask Buck Showalter. I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's a respect the rookie thing, if it's a I really don't know. Who's the most underrated player in MLB right now? I couldn't even tell you honestly. Is uh I couldn't even tell you. Jeez, that's a good question. Facts. Um Captain Morgan, and this is exactly why it makes no sense to call it Vientos. Buck just keeps killing the kid. No, Vientos. We need to have Volgi in the lineup. And because Alonso refuses to take time off and get healthy, we have two automatic outs batting fourth and fifth. Yeah, I agree with you on that. Right now, it has been very, very frustrating watching both of those players. Marte, like you said, and I agree, Captain Morgan. Marte has been suffering some. He's been horrible this season, and you could tell he's looked off, been very lazy, very sloppy, very slow. And when he came out and said that the injury was still bothering him, yeah, no shit, I could tell. Anyone could tell. It's pretty obvious. So, obviously, yeah, there was going to be a corresponding move for it. It was either going to be Mauricio or Vientos. Regardless who they called up, Buck probably was still going to pull this of, Vogelbach DH and Blake Yorman at second. It's probably going to be obvious. Can't do it every day, but more times than none. And Alonso, Alonso's a player that I love on this channel. If you guys know, I'm a huge Pete Alonso fan. I mean, he's my profile picture. I have posters of him. He's my favorite Met. And he's in a really bad slump right now. And yeah, you look at Alonso, obviously started off this year great, power surge. The base hits weren't there, but he was getting his home runs, he was getting his walks, and his occasional base hits. The base hits weren't as much, which kind of, pushed the average a little bit down, but the OPS was there, the power was there. And, then he got hurt. We had that wrist fracture. Allegedly supposed to be on the IL and could, a wrist fracture could take what? 6 to 8 weeks to recover. Returns in a week on the 10-day IL. Returns in a week and a half. And then, had like 2 home runs and batting like 100 since he returned. And it's been about a month. Is it pretty obvious that Alonso's hurt still? Takes 6 to 8 weeks to recover from that, which probably wouldn't be till later this month, around now. You could tell he looks off. He's not swinging as much. And when he swings, it's the silly slider in the dirt. You can tell his swing looks very off. It's like a lot of 2020 type stuff there. But, that's why. I have no problem with him going to the All-Star game. He struck out twice. Big surprise. I have no problem with him going to the All-Star game. He should have not went to the home run derby. I think that was stupid. Especially considering he's still hurt. And I get it. Pete's been a guy who historically, he's done 3 home run derbies. He's won 2 of them. Or he's done 4 home run derbies, and he's won 2 of them. 2019, 2021, 22, and 2023. Yeah, so he's done 4 derbies. He's won 2 of them. And in the 3 of them prior, from 2019, 2021, and 22, he went on a power surge after. It helped his swing, it helped his power, the exit velo, the launch angle, it helped him. So I don't know, maybe that's what a lot of people thought this year, is that it would get him back into his groove and it would hype him up. But I'll tell you, I love Pete, but he is he's way too mental. He needs like a sports psychologist we were talking about. He's just very mental, and you could see he looks stressed. Yeah, he needs to get it going soon, or else, he's going to start hearing it from the fans. And you don't play well, what happens? But also, most importantly, he's one of the biggest contributors for this team. If it wasn't for Alvarez hitting for power, you could only imagine what the power situation would be for this team right now, and it wouldn't be great. So, when it comes to Alonso, wake the fuck up. either wake the fuck up or go to the IL. Because if you're hurt and you're playing, well, you're not only risking yourself, but you're jeopardizing and causing everyone else on this team to lose. Because he's a liability out there, if that's going to be the case. So, wake up. Will Brandon Nimmo want to go glove this season? Yeah, I think it's possible. I would definitely say so. Matthew, that's a good question. Matthew says if you could erase one athlete's injury from their career and watch their career play out, which athlete would you choose? I'd probably choose David Wright. I think as a Mets fan, yes, you got to go David Wright. Buck Showalter needs to shake the batting order. Pretty much. Lane says, do the Yankee call a player? I'm not sure who you're referring to, but I mean, yeah, maybe they'll make some call-ups potentially. I know Trevino got hurt, so maybe they'll make a move for that. We'll see. Yeah, I mean, Tigers, they're an interesting spot. That AL Central is very, very weak. I mean, the Twins are probably gonna. I mean, whoever wins that division is probably gonna win it by like an 82-80 record. So I mean, Tigers are what, 9 games under. You need one good week, and you're practically back in it, and they're getting some of their pitching and starters back that were hurt. Torkelson's been hitting for some power. Riley Green's been great. Kerry Carpenter, so it's possible. Cedric says, "What's wrong with Mets starter Justin Verlander?" I'd say the pitch clock, age, and speed recovery from Tommy John. He's been so inconsistent this year. Yeah, Cedric, I think the biggest thing with Verlander was, he had Tommy John. What his age? It was 38, 39. Went into the last year and pitched. First year back from Tommy John, 39 years old, won Cy Young. But I think that he just gave all he could. I think he pushed all of his might and all of his power and just everything into last year. I think he kind of just pushed himself to way too much coming into this year. Yeah, I don't think many people expected him to have a sub 180 ERA or sub 2 and be a Young, but nobody expected him to be kind of this level of, I guess, just inconsistent and just very shaky and unreliable at certain times. But yeah, I agree with you on that. I think, I don't know if it's the pitch clock, maybe. I mean, maybe the first month. The age, yeah, I think it's the age and the recovery from Tommy John are the two big things. Kendall says maybe we should be platooning DJ Stewart and Marte in right field. Marte's power numbers have been horrible this season. Maybe it's due to his health, but the season is on the line right now. Yeah, I agree with you. Marte also has been a big liability this year. As much as I love Marte, he's been a liability. And, like I said, DJ Stewart, he's a guy that really, I mean, even in the minor leagues, didn't have great numbers, but I don't know. I mean, I would still honestly rather Marte out there. At least he's a player that's proven he can play at an MLB level. DJ Stewart's not really an MLB player, as much as that sounds bad for me to say. He's a guy in AAA who's had like a average slash line of like a 250, 300 OBP. I mean, yeah, I mean, he has a nice lefty swing, sure, but it's not like he's playing at Yankee Stadium or Citizens Bank Park. Yeah, and obviously the Marte slump and the horrible performance, yeah, it's simply enough because of the injury. It's still lingering on. So, yeah, I don't know. We're going to have to see what kind of the Mets are going to do with Marte when he comes back from the IL, if he's going to perform well. If he's not, well, then, we know what's going to happen. He's probably going to get less playing time, and as he should. No, the Yankees are not trading Judge. Do you send out DJ Stewart? I mean, maybe. I'm sure when someone comes back, they will. Yeah, no, the Mets black uniforms are pretty nice. But yeah, as we hit the hour mark, we are going to call it a stream here. I really do appreciate everybody for tuning in to today's stream. As per always, it was a great stream. Appreciate everyone for tuning in. Obviously, in today's stream, we did go over the New York Mets and the Chicago White Sox series summary, and then the New York Mets and the Boston Red Sox series previewing that. So that was really good to see. I'm gonna shut this off. So yeah, unfortunately, no more comments for the rest of the stream, but we are gonna call it a stream here. So yeah, I really do appreciate everybody for tuning in to the stream as per always. Like I said, obviously, sorry, I guess a brain fart. Obviously, New York Mets, Chicago White Sox series summary, New York Mets, Boston Red Sox series previewed. So pretty much 3-game series. Starts tonight, going to be a big, big, big series. Obviously, MLB trade deadline, July 21st, August 1st. So it's about 9 days away. So for all 30 MLB teams, we got some big, big, big series coming ahead for all 30 MLB teams. It's really, really gonna do a lot of stuff. So yeah, otherwise, appreciate everyone for tuning in. If you could, everyone, smash that like button, turn on those post notifications, tell your friends about this channel. Let's get to 800 subscribers. We're about like, I think like 12 away or something like that. So yeah, appreciate everyone for tuning in to the stream as always. Let's go Mets. Let's go baseball. If you are rewatching this on replay, I appreciate you for tuning in for the hour. Leave a comment. Any questions, as per always, follow me on Twitter at Mets Hayden. If you want to talk on there about the Mets, sports, I don't know, anything, do that. That is my social media right there. But yeah, otherwise, I really do appreciate everybody for tuning in to the stream. As per always, let's go Mets. Let's go baseball. And ideally, the Red Sox series tonight, take 2 or 3. I mean, a sweep. I'm not asking for a sweep. The Red Sox are coming back from a series loss against the Athletics, so that is promising. But we know how the Mets could be sometimes. So ideally, I'm just going to sit here and say take 2 or 3, and I think that would be a successful series against the Red Sox. I believe the first time the Mets have been there since 2020 season. So yeah, we'll honestly just have to see how that goes. But yeah, till next time, baseball fans. See ya.